Hello my sweet friends and welcome to Kinda Shabby. My name is Becky and I am so glad you stopped by. Today we're going to be using doilies and lace as well as clay and cardstock to create some lovely little gifts just perfect for Mother's Day. Well, there is lots of fun in store today, so let's get these projects started. So for our first project, we're going to be using our air-dry clay and a doily to make an impression in that clay, and we're going to make a flower frog. And this is an example of a metal flower frog, and that helps to keep your flower arrangements upright so they're just not falling all over the place. And I want to make mine to fit this vase right here. And I also found that this little plate is going to be the perfect size for me to cut around, and that's going to fit over that just so perfectly. So first I'm going to take my clay, squish it in my hands, make a little bit of a rounded shape. And then I'm just going to gently roll my clay out. I want it to be a little on the thicker side to reduce any risk of it cracking on me. And I placed some of my glue sticks on either side, so as I roll it out, it's going to be the same thickness all the way across the length of the clay here. And now I'm going to place my doily in the middle over the top of that, and then rolling it and making that impression into the clay with my doily. Now it's hard to see on camera, but this doily is embedded into the clay, so it is the same height as the rest of this clay, so it's really embedded down in there. Then I'm going to gently pull this back, and you can see that it's left that gorgeous impression in the clay. And now I'm taking my saucer and push this down, and then just remove the clay from around my saucer here. And then I'll put the excess back in the bag, and I store that in a Ziploc bag. And then I'm going to take my finger and just smooth out those edges. And then I'm going to take a nice big straw, just start making holes. And with all of my holes poked in there, I'm going to take my little Cricut spatula and gently lift this up. Isn't that going to be so pretty? That's going to look gorgeous on there, but I don't want it to dry like that. I actually want it to dry flat. So I'm going to place it on my drying rack. And then we'll take these, squish them up, and put them back in our bag to use for a different project. So I let my clay dry for 2 days just to make sure it was thoroughly dry, because it is a little thicker than items I usually make with my clay. And now we're going to come back and put some paint on this. I'm going to start on the underside, and we're going to use the color Cashew. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and get my paint on here. And then we're going to come back and put some contrast in with a lighter color. And it's just going to be gorgeous. And now that this is dry, we're coming back over the top of that in the color Plaster. So I haven't painted the plaster over that yet. You can see the difference. And before this totally dries, I've got a damp sponge here, and I want to come back over the top of this. Let me lay it down here. Okay, that sponge isn't taking up enough of that paint. Let me try a wet wipe here. That's what I wanted. Once I wiped that back with the wet wipe, you've got the white paint settling at the bottom and then that cashew color coming through there just to kind of highlight those details. So I'm going to paint this other side here and wipe that back in the same fashion. After painting it, I don't think that there is enough difference between those colors. The difference isn't stark enough to show up. So plan B. I'm going to start by painting over it with the color Lagoon and just base coat it with this. And it's no big deal, it's just a little bit of paint. So after using the Lagoon, I was afraid that the colors may mix, and I just went over it with a light coat of some matte varnish. And I'm hoping that because these two colors are in a greater contrast with each other, that it's going to get the effect that I was going for. So I'm just going to quickly rub on some of this color here. And now I'm going to gently wipe back and just see if that's going to give me the effect that I was going for. And that's more of what I was going for, so I'm going to do that exact same process on this other side right here. I like that much better. You can see because the colors are in higher contrast with each other that it just really brings out all of those gorgeous doily details in there. And so the last thing I'm going to do with this, once all of this dries, I'm going to go back and coat it with some glossy Mod Podge. I would have preferred to use my dishwasher Mod Podge, but I was out of it, so I'm going to use the glossy instead. But if you do decide to do this project, please use the dishwasher safe Mod Podge, because that is going to really protect this from any moisture. And that is going to just be gorgeous when we get some flowers in there. I just think that turned out so beautiful. This project is going to be perfect for covering a journal, a planner, or any type of book, and I'm going to be using it to cover my mom's Bible. I've got a varied assortment here of thrifted doilies and a thrifted curtain panel that I've used in other projects on my channel. And I'm also going to be using this gorgeous canvas cloth that I pick up from Hobby Lobby, and I always wash it once or twice to just get it all nice and soft. And drop cloth is also perfect for this project too. To save time in the video, I have already cut some pieces. This one is 9.5 inches high, 14.25 inches wide. I opened it up and then just made sure I had a 1/2 inch overhang all the way around. And then we're going to fold it in half, take my marker, and I'm going to make just a tiny mark so that way I know where the middle is. And next I'm taking that piece of my curtain panel, so this is also in the middle, and then I'm going to use some of this no-sew temporary fabric glue. I'm going to be stitching mine down, but you could also use permanent fabric glue or hand stitching as well. And this is what we have so far. I'm going to take my scissors and just cut this excess off of here. And all of this goes into my little snippet basket. And now it's just a matter of digging through everything and starting to see how I want to lay these out. I think that is going to look cute. These I'm just going to pin into place. I like that there. I've actually changed my mind about this down here. And cut that off, and I'll use that on some other project because I like that better. I like this, and that'll be pretty along the edges there. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, dig through all of this, decide how I want everything to just look. And it's just going to be a gorgeous collage of doilies and lace, and just so beautiful. I am just really pleased with all that collage there. And once I get all of this stitched down, it's just going to be fabulous. This is an excellent project for scraps. Just about every bit of this was scraps. I love it. So now what I'm going to do is take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to stitch all of this down into place. Then once we do that, we'll come back and get the inside finished. Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. Maybe a little easier to see how I stitched it on this side, but basically just went down the center, across this way, and then around these edges and all around the edges here too, just to get everything stitched down. And I love this gorgeous lace panel here, and I want to stitch these on either side. So when I get these stitched down on 3 sides here, that's going to allow the flap to go in there and hold that into place inside my Bible cover. And I'm going to put some trim to finish off those raw edges. So I'm just going to pin it all down and stitch it all into place. And before I stitch this down, I decided I wanted some ties. So I took some crinkled seam binding and I cut it at 14 inches long. I've just pinned it in there, so when I stitch this seam down, it's going to catch that in there, and we're going to be able to tie this closed as well. It's just going to be beautiful. And there is what the inside looks like. Slide these in. Tie this up. And there we go. I love that so much. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, hold on to your scraps because we're going to be using those for our next project. For this project, we are going to be giving a shabby chic makeover to these cute little canvas zippered pouches that I pick up from Hobby Lobby. And they are very well made. You can put makeup, brushes, all kinds of cute little stuff in there. So first we're going to start with two 2-inch circles of canvas because we're going to be making some little rolled roses to go on top of our little bag here. And I'm going to start with my strip here. And this is 1 inch wide and 24 inches long. And we're just going to hot glue that to the middle. And you are essentially just going to twist that, roll it around the center, and glue. And you're just going to keep wrapping and twisting and rolling that around and gluing until you get to the end of your strip. So once you get to the end, that's what that looks like. And I fold the strip down and glue it to the back and then cut off any excess canvas so it's not going to show onto the opposite side there. I'm going to use some of my doily here, and I want that edge to show around the outside. So I'm just going to trim off the rest of this edge here. And with all of that cut off, I'm just going to be taking the doily, placing it on the back like that, and then just gluing it to the outside edge of my little rolled rose here. And with that all glued down, now we're going to take this beautiful tulle trim and we're going to glue that to the outside of that. And I've made these before on my channel. I just think these are so cute. And with all of that glued down, you're going to take your other canvas circle and you're going to glue that over the back of that. That way when we glue this flower down, it's going to have more contact points than if we just left it like that. And that's going to look so cute on our bag. I love that. Add a little punch of pink. You know I can't have a video without using some pink. We're going to set that aside for a little bit. I am just going to glue this right along that seam line here, just like that, and that is going to be so beautiful. And that just really looks nice, just to be able to get that really pressed into that seam right there. And then I'm going to take this paper pad and put it in there just to make sure that the glue isn't going to leak through and I accidentally glue my bag together. I'm going to just take my time and work in small sections until I've gone all the way around my bag. I love how that just additional little piece of lace just really sets that off. You really could leave it just like that, but I can't wait to get that little flower glued on there. I love it. So now I'm going to follow that same process, and I'm going to glue this pretty little floral trim at the bottom just to give some interest to that as well, so it's just not as boring as that plain canvas. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and glue this little trim down. And that's what it looks like with both of those trims glued down. And I'd made another flower. I thought I was going to put one on each side, but I've decided I'm just going to put one on the front here. And I just want it kind of offset. I'm going to use my paper pad again. And then that way I can just load up the glue on my little canvas disc on the back here. And apply some firm pressure and press and hold until it sets. And the last thing I'm going to do is take just a piece of this remnant scrap here of lace, fold it in half, put it through the top of that zipper, and pull that through. How cute and quick and easy was that? I love it. That is super duper duper cute. Well, keep your scraps out because we've got one more project left to do. So now that we have all of our gifts made, we're going to need some gift tags. So I have pulled out a couple of just beautiful selections here from my cardstock paper pad here, and I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. Each of these papers are a 6 by 6, so I'm just going to take a second and cut all of these papers in half. And these are a little bit too long, in my opinion, so now I'm going to go back and just cut an inch off the tops of all of these as well. And I always hold on to my scraps because those make cute little labels. And then I'm going to take my tag top maker here, and you don't have to use this. You could just trim off the edges and poke a hole in it and call it good, but I just like the finish this gives. So then just take some scissors and round that off. And then this punch rounds off the other edges. And there we go. And with all of our little tags cut, I just grab paper flowers and buttons and scraps and rhinestones and trim, letting my creativity just go where it wants. So I'm just going to start just kind of pulling out some scraps here. I think I need to get a bigger scrap bin. It's just a scrap piece of tulle. I'm just going to glue that down. Little piece of a doily. Maybe a little button. How cute is that so far? I just love using scraps to embellish these. Now, once you start layering things like this on, it's going to be difficult to write someone's name on the back. So you could take another one of these and write on that and just glue that to the back and have that be your backer. That way it's gorgeous from both sides. And then just put some of my crinkled seam binding through that hole. And there we go. I like that one. Super cute. Take some scrap lace, layer that on. Just a scrap of some chiffon here. Twist and roll that and make like a little rolled rose out of that one. And glue that down. Let me see if I want a rhinestone on that. I'm going to use my art glitter glue in the middle of that to glue my rhinestone down. And this little handy dandy gadget, you pick up the rhinestone from the front and then you place it down in the glue with this little gadget. Look how cute that is. So I'm going to take a few minutes and just play around with some scraps here, and then I'll show you what I've done to embellish the rest of these little cards. A little bit of beads and some lace down there, and some other just little scraps, and a button, and a piece of some cotton on the top there. A little bit of a doily section with a pocket, some lace, and some crinkled seam binding at the top there. This one is white cotton muslin at the top here. And then we've got some little snippets of lace and little bits of doily and some paper flowers and a bit of some musical note paper in the back there. And this is some pink chiffon at the top here. I had a resin mold left over, so I used that. And behind that we have some cheesecloth and some more of the doily section there. More tulle, and then we have more doily, tulle, and paper flower there. And then this one is just some of that lace panel that was left over from the curtain. And then back here I frayed a piece of cotton canvas. Then this is just a stamped piece that I had left over because I stamped some ribbon, so I just cut a piece there. Then some more of our lace and some more paper flowers. So we have all of these beautiful, beautiful tags that we can use. I always enjoy having these on hand. Family and friends enjoy receiving them on their gifts, and I just love to make all of these beautiful, beautiful tags. Well, now all I need to do is give you a closer look at how beautiful all of this week's projects turned out. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been my pleasure to craft with you. Please subscribe for more kinda shabby but always chic crafty inspirations. And until next time, my sweet friends, be blessed.